Hello there, my name is Mark and this is Dice Tales, and today I have a tournament event from Top Table Legacy Weekender. That was just last weekend. I finally recovered and finally got my YouTubing back. I've actually been trying lots of different techniques and things that hasn't worked, so I'm back to the old stuff. Hopefully the mic's in a better position to pick up my voice. And let's talk about Kings of War Vanguard. So it was a 4-player event. One of the players couldn't make it, had to drop out, and a newbie was drafted in, and he picked up the Dwarves. Someone else at the event was busy, so he kindly lent his Dwarves, and my first game was basically a coaching game. Andy from Blackjack Legacy stuck around for the first 2 turns to also give him that coaching advice, and where I could, if I could see a better move for him or dicey thing, I tried to point it out. But he ended up really liking the game and wanting to get home to get some paint on. I think the same. He's probably going with the Basliens as well. I went with the Basliens, which I found out means royalty. I think you hear Boromir from Lord of the Rings shouting for Gondor and for Basilia at one point. I couldn't edit that video in because I'm not good at editing yet. Anyway. So I'm the Basliens. My first game was versus the Dwarves. My next 2 games were versus the Nightstalkers. What am I missing? That's all 4 people. So Holy Knights, Dwarves, and 2 evil entities from Beyond the Stars. So let's jump into a slideshow. This is the first game. It is the Power Stones. So this one, you score points at the end of each turn if you're touching one of the Power Stones. If you have a command model or a magic model by the middle power stone, I believe you get some extra power dice. I don't know if that affects all power dice or not. I'll have to double check. So my big purple dice is depicting the turn. I forget to score turn by turn on this particular game, sort of focusing on teaching and such. And I forget that you actually need to touch the power stones to score them. So I go off on a battle rage to try to kill him, and he's more sensibly touching the stones. I don't mind playing a new guy, so that on my power dice. This list has quite a lot of power. It's 150 points. I have a Dictator. The unpainted horseman there, he's actually a war wizard mounted. I have a Sergeant. I don't know if I had the Veteran Sergeant. I'm forgetting what I had between my 200 point list and my 550 point list. Or is this 200 points? I'm getting all my games confused at the moment. So I've done a group charge with my Sergeant and Spearman into his host of Dwarfs. Failed to take it down. I think I wound it. Then my second Spearman knocks it down. He's able to get up because my third Spearman's just standing back, acting as a Spearman, which gives you an extra dice in combat without actually being involved in the combat. My Dictator also charges. I don't know why they call it a Dictator. I really dislike that name. I'd rather it be Lord Knight, something like that. All the other guys are called Paladins, Paladin Defenders, Sergeants, etc. And these are the Middle-earth measures. So I've got a Veteran Sister on that top sort of white hill. I've got 2 crossbowmen and a Veteran Sister to back them up. And they're fighting 2 dwarves over by that 3rd Power Stone in the distance there. And then my Sergeant and Defender or Paladin are duking it out on this bottom Power Stone while my Wizard holds the centre Power Stone. His Juggernaut tries to kill my Dictator, but we've got, with all my power dice, and I've got that great Basilian power of Iron Resolve, where it ignores Crushing Strength. Basically, I just need to have saving throws of 3+. And it does me well in this tournament. It failed me in a game recently, on a Tuesday night game, but it does well in this tournament. I love it. I really love the theme of the Basiliens as well. The Holy Knights, protected by angels, such like that. So it's a 5-turn game, and then you roll off at the end of turn 5 to see if there's going to be a turn 6. And again, I think it's going to be a 4-turn game for some reason. I think that's a Kill Team Arenaism. I'm hoping that playing all these different games is going to help my mind grow in some way. So it's certainly not showing its effects at the moment. Now the ranks are finally dwindling. The Spearmen have been a little bit thinned out. The Paladin and the Sergeant have been taken out at least. And we're playing Ring Around the Roses on that central. I take a wound off the mage as he retreats from the Juggernaut. And that's it, backing up. So that was a win to the Dwarves on that one. I always say I'll try and watch this a little bit more slowly to make sure, but he definitely had the Power Stones on the end of the final turn, wiping me off the bottom one. I think I had the top one, but he definitely had the middle. He had the middle longer than me. He had the stones longer than me in memory. And I can remember to resize those photos. I was trying to put buffer photos in between the actual live games. Right, and this one is capture the supply. So the spy is dead in the middle of the table, and as soon as you discover it, the plans might be on the spy, or they could be in the castle on the top left, or on the hill on the bottom right, or behind the hill on the bottom right. He moves his Shadow Hound up and finds the plans, and they turn up bottom right, which is good for my camera angle. I move my host up. This is a corner-to-corner sort of deployment game. And I send my War Wizard chasing after it, fatiguing, to get there as fast as possible. While everyone else stays grouped up. I move and move again. I cast a lightning bolt somewhere along those lines. I'm starting to think, looking at the playback video, should I have cast a lightning bolt, or did I forget it was a short power? I wipe out all the scarecrows on the hill with it. Right, we're now get a little bit narrative. Thinking of the rulebook photo illustration, they have Nightstalkers fighting Basliens on a bridge. So that's why I put that terrain there. Basically, see if we could recreate it. So I moved my director up. It wasn't a power move in any way. It actually gives him the charge, where I could have charged if I really wanted to. But I move him up onto the bridge just so we can recreate that photo. And so it's a Reaper and a Butcher fighting on the bridge with a numerous other Nightstalkers. I've captured the supplies now, and I'm on a horse, so I can pretty much outrun him. He's not got too much fast. And I have a nice little story going on with my Spearman and Sergeant there. The Grunts, the Spearman, he outperforms the Sergeant in every way. And there's a little bit of a love interest going on with a Spearman and one of the veteran sisters. Anyway, final game of the day. I don't know if we just saw a TARDIS flash up onto the screen there. You might want to scroll back and see that. A portal has appeared in this western-looking town, and the Nightstalkers obviously attracted to its negative energies, and the Basliens out to investigate it and shut it down, or use it if possible. I don't know what the plan is in the story is with portals, to be honest. But I've gone with my duo of Wizard and Dictator. They're heading round and staying away from the portal. They don't want to be sucked into the abyss too soon. And all my Spearmen and Grunts and one of the Sergeants have gone onto the portal, because he aggressively went onto the portal with his command unit, and his command unit gets sucked off. I think that Banshee could have been useful for pushing me away from the portal, but probably shouldn't have got so close on the very first turn. His Mind Screech is casting spells at my veteran sister, knocking her down from a distance and possibly out of sight as well. And the archers sort of muddling through the forest. They can't move and shoot, unfortunately. Engage them with a Reaper. He's trying to cast lightning bolts on them with the Mind Screech as well. My Grunts have done a combined move where the three of them move together to move around the portal. And my Dictators have engaged some shadows and phantoms you just can't see on the other side of that portal. While my Wizards stayed back just to pick off any stragglers. Eventually moving in to score points. There's a little bonus of £3 off your next purchase just for coming along. And that's it. So they were hyperlapses, the time lapses, slowed them down to about 70% of their full speed, just so I could do a little bit of a chat over them. Not going into too much detail. I'll try harder in other videos in the future. But because it was that convention tournament style environments, I didn't want to take too many notes, take too many photos. But here are the highlights. This is the Dwarf team. I couldn't go through what they were exactly. This is the first engagement, the group charge by my Spearmen and Sergeants leading the way. And they're going to be followed up by the Dictator and the War Mage and the remaining Spearmen after that. Trying to lock him in melee so he can't actually get to the Power Stones. That was the idea. We probably would have been better just fighting on the Power Stones to see who won. This was a game of the Nightstalkers versus Nightstalkers. This was on the table next to me. Had to tell who's on whose side. Very well painted Mind Screech here. Dwarves catching the Power Stones, and they are shooting me quite well. I don't know if they've got some sort of rifles or the crossbowmen. They don't do combined shots. I think it just has a lot of power, and I roll badly. Grand melee of the Juggernauts, and then I'm swinging it back, bringing in my Spearman in and protecting my rear. And I've also got protection from my War Wizard. He's casting shield spells upon me. Usually shield affects only yourself, but the Basilian War Wizard has a special power, extra power dice. You can cast it also on a unit within 6 inches as well. But that combined with the Iron Resolve, making it quite tough to beat. Nightstalkers that I play against in the second game. Lovely terrain setup and the bridge, as I say, just to recreate the picture. It's corner-to-corner deployments, his corner, my corner. And the first engagement again, combined action. Sergeant, Grunt, and Spearman. So chicken lots of ice at that Shadowhound there. And as I say, I just rode up and said, "Come on, Nightstalkers, we hold this town." And he charged me with the Butcher. I held it off. I managed to kill the Reaper. I think he butchers my Dictator, and then the Spearman comes to back up that Paladin Defender, and we take out the Butcher as well. So he does get his horrors to bear just within a good 6 inches of these two fights going on, just at the bottom base of the bridge. That's some nice painting on that Butcher as well. And there's the picture that we were recreating. Is that a mounted knight in the background, or is he just a big guy? Should have been a sister on the bridge as well, but she was off. She got engaged by a Shadowhound, unfortunately. And game 3, so the Mind Screech, a Banshee, 3 they're called Spectres, the shooting ones at the back there. A Phantom and 2 Reapers. And my squad. Again, the grey one. I've now got a nice mage model. He's getting glued up. There seems to be a lack of mages on mounts, so your model maker, get working on that. Reaper Bones, get working on mages on mounts. And for the other armies, the elves and such like that, I need some sort of creative mounts. I know Rune Wars Altari Elves are on cats, that looks pretty cool. I know the Basiliens have ride on lions and panthers as well. And that's about it, really. My duo, I like this duo. Ooh, that's a bit creepy. And this is when I lightning bolt that big host, and that was a big blow to his army, to be honest. Powered up lightning bolt goes within a 2-inch radius of whoever I'm shooting, so I get about 4 models with that. It's a very key moment. And then it's just mopping up from there. Losing his commander to the portal, very devastating. And we're back round to the beginning. So yeah, Kings of War Vanguard, very quick, very fast paced, very enjoyable. I'm not saying rules light, so there are some tricky rules to get your head around. And what I really like about it is the out of order activation, the fatigue mechanic. So you can generally do 2 actions, like a run and a run, a move and a move, which is a run. You could then fatigue to do a walk at the end of that, so you get that extra movement. Or you could do the run and then fatigue to do a shot if you're a bowman and you didn't have to reload your weapon. So I love that. And then even if you have activated, you can then use power. So you go off to activate someone else on another turn, but then you can use a power to come back to the one that you've already activated, and you can do another short action. And then there's a whole retaliating in combat. It just gives that game that extra edge dynamic, almost Star Wars like in the drawing the order cat. No, it's not really Star Wars like, but I like that mechanic as well. So that's why I mentioned it. I'll iron out my thoughts and leave that for another video in the future, I think. So this was Kings of War Vanguard. I know it's a little on the light side, but it was the games that we had at Top Table Legacy Weekender. There will be another Top Table Legacy Weekender coming up in October, though the dates are not yet confirmed, but October is confirmed. And I'm sure there'll be another Vanguard event, so check out the forums, check out Element Games, check out the Forge, and yeah, get into those groups and shout me up for a game. Mark from Dice Tales, signing out.